Hello, and welcome to The Exchange, your RealtyMogul resource for 1031 market intelligence and education, and the second video in our series entitled The Lifecycle of a DST. I'm Steve Haskell, Vice President of 1031 Sales at RealtyMogul. Our first video went over what to expect before you invest. In this video, we'll be going over what you need to expect and know during the investment process. This will be followed by a third video of what to expect after your 1031 exchange. Okay, so let's get started. As mentioned in the previous video, once we've had a series of conversations and taken part in an education leading up to the exchange, we start helping our clients build a portfolio. We start introducing them to the different sponsor groups and educating them on who they could potentially partner with to complete their 1031 exchange. At RealtyMogul, we've instituted a technology to make the paperwork and transaction process in a DST portfolio to be smooth and as painless as possible. 1031 investors simply log into our website and are guided through the paperwork process step by step online. We have a transaction team that is standing by waiting to support you with any help you need to complete this process. In addition, you have your registered representative here quarterbacking the transaction from beginning to end. A registered representative, like myself, is here to guide the investor through the 1031 process. We help educate the investors on the DSTs, the sponsors, how a 1031 exchange works, and all the different parties involved with the transaction. We will work with the exchanger's legal team and CPA to make sure you have everything you need to fully understand the investment, risks involved, and IRS requirements to make sure those are satisfied to defer your taxes. We interact with the sponsors, with the broker-dealers, with the qualified intermediaries, and all those involved to best facilitate a smooth and successful exchange. Once the paperwork process is completed by the exchanger, the paperwork will be submitted to RM Securities, our broker-dealer, and sent to the sponsor for review. Our team at RM Securities will then review the paperwork and make sure that all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Once they review all the documents and supporting documents, they will send their approval over to the sponsor. The sponsor will also conduct their own compliance review to make sure the paperwork is in proper order. Once they receive approval from RM Securities, the sponsor will then reach out to the qualified intermediary with a closing statement and a fully executed purchase agreement to request the funds. The qualified intermediary will then reach out to the investor, the exchanger, and ask them if the information sent by the sponsor is accurate. If these documents are accurate and the closing statement is correct, the exchanger will sign an approval for the qualified intermediary to wire the funds to the sponsor. So the registered rep and RealtyMogul never touches the money. Once this is concluded and the funds have been wired, the investment is closed. This typically takes 3 to 5 business days on average. The investor will then receive a closing statement, a fully executed purchase agreement, and they can also reach out to the qualified intermediary to get a ledger of where their money came in from and where it went and all the expenses involved to keep for their records. This process is repeated for each DST in a 1031 exchange. We do our best to streamline the process to make it as easy on the investor as possible. So, as I said earlier, this typically takes on average 3 to 5 business days. Once we have all the proper paperwork in, from the time it is submitted to our broker-dealer to the time where the qualified intermediary wires the funds, that's about 3 to 5 business days. It could oftentimes be a little bit less or sometimes a little bit more. Well, this concludes the investment process of a 1031 exchange. So that's what you should expect during your 1031 exchange transaction. In the next video, we'll complete this series by detailing what happens after the 1031 exchange has been completed.